Hello, my name is Dr. Jessica Allanson. I am a licensed clinical psychologist with the Faculty and Staff Assistance Program here at UCSF, and today we're going to talk about gratitude. So, whether you are restarting a practice or looking to start a new practice, gratitude is a great way to incorporate a mindfulness experience into your everyday life. I think a big part about beginning any sort of practice or habit is thinking about ways that will create an effective, consistent opportunity for you to focus a little bit of time on yourself. And it's no different when we talk about gratitude. So, a couple of things that are important when we think about starting or restarting a gratitude practice is thinking about consistency first and foremost. So, how can you incorporate this into your daily life in a way that is going to be accessible to you and feel like you can accomplish it on a mostly daily basis? Usually, that means thinking about times of the day that you are most likely to be available, either to pair your gratitude practice with another practice, such as getting ready for bed or waking up in the morning, or adding some time in for yourself that's feasible and reasonable. Another important aspect of an effective gratitude practice is creating something that has activity to it. So, this can mean speaking something out loud or physically sitting down or laying down and writing this out, either on a phone app or using a pad and paper, but essentially creating some sort of space, right, or distance between your daily life and activities, and creating a space that's really just for you, for your practice, to focus on gratitude. Finally, with gratitude in particular, one of the most effective ways that we can utilize it as a practice is to make sure that our gratitude lists are unique. That means is we might feel grateful and appreciative for certain things every day that are very consistent. But when we are working towards a gratitude practice, it's best if we try to find specifics or really unique qualities in things that we appreciate already or that feel unique to that time period, that 24-hour period. So, with that in mind, we are going to take a little bit of time today and do a practice together. So, one of the things that I want to mention is there are a number of apps, right, that we can use. And my favorite sort of focus on gratitude is to utilize both an app and a reminder. Not everybody needs that amount of check-in, but that really helps me stay accountable so that I both have an alarm at the same time and I also have an app that gives me a little notification. I turned off all the other notifications because too many is too much. So we're going to start today by having something to write on, whether it's your computer, your phone, or a piece of paper. And as we get started, what I'd like you to do is think about a way to disconnect from where you have just been, and even try not to think about where you're going to, but actually just being right here, right now, with the intention of starting this practice. And one of the first ways we can do that is by adjusting ourselves in our seats and get comfortable. Another way we can do that is by moving our hands off of a workspace or a desk and into our laps. And actually just taking a couple of slow, calm, deep breaths, and maybe adjusting your neck and shoulders if you need to. And really preparing to dive into a practice that's very separate from more of our day-to-day experience. So as you're settling in, allowing yourself a few long, slow, really deep breaths, maybe sighing out your mouth, and allowing this to actually be a little break from your day. And as you're getting settled and preparing to think about what makes you feel grateful, I'd like you to focus on maybe the last 24 hours of your experience. And to start off with, let's start with three big things right now in your life that you are grateful for. Big things meaning things that might feel quite consistent. Maybe your health is one of them. Maybe it's family or a specific family member. Maybe it's a position that you hold or have worked very hard for at work. But just taking a moment to think about three big things in your life that you feel gratitude for right now. And I'll give you a minute to write those down. Okay. Hopefully that gave you enough time to write down three big things because we're going to shift gears a little bit. And now I'd like you again to reflect on the last 24 hours and think about three small things. And you can be as detailed as you would like, as little as you would like. Maybe you got a new toothbrush. Maybe you had a moment with Muni and you made it through the doors. Maybe somebody offered you a compliment or support just right when you needed it most. Maybe things that aren't ultimately life-changing, but for you in the last 24 hours stand out as something that you feel grateful for. So I'll give us some time to write down three more small things. Okay. So hopefully that gave folks enough time. You can always spend more time on detail, especially if it's a unique circumstance. But ultimately, as a reminder, this practice doesn't really need to take more than 2 or 3 minutes. When I do the gratitude practice, big and small things, a couple of things that might be important to ask yourself. Did you notice if one list was easier for you to complete than the other one? Did you notice if there were some categories that felt very accessible or jumped right out to you? What was it like to focus in on something small and just to limit it to the last 24 hours? These are the kind of reflection questions that can also help us understand what is going to make our practice individualized and most effective for ourselves. Again, the consistency is important, creating a sense of separation from daily life with an action, either speaking or writing. And then, of course, focusing on the uniqueness, right, of three things. You don't need to do big and small things every day, but some folks really appreciate categories. I have a friend that tends to do them in personal, professional, and then sort of social realm. So personal meaning something they're grateful for about themselves, something in a social realm that they feel grateful for, and something in a professional realm that stood out. Again, this is about designing your own practice at a time and in a way that feels feasible for you and just seeing how it feels. If it doesn't work, you can always tweak it a little bit. There's tons of great opportunities out there that you can read about either online or check out some of the apps that are available. But ultimately, thank you for spending a little time with me here today, and I wish you luck in your ongoing gratitude practice.